Hi everybody. Well, I'm gonna admit it. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But man, I kind of wish Disney would just sell it. I remember I was watching a YouTube channel called the Diz Unplugged, that they have a Tuesday podcast every week where they talk about Disney news and what's going on in the Disney parks and things like that. And in the middle of the episode, the story broke that Disney has just bought Lucasfilms. They just bought Star Wars. And then I watched D3, where they announced the new Star Wars projects coming, including 2 parks in North America, new Star Wars lands and everything. And I got so excited. Imagine being able to visit a Star Wars land. It was amazing. It was like anticipation level beyond belief. A new Star Wars movie, a 7th Star Wars movie. Can't wait. Get rid of those prequels because I wasn't a big fan of the prequels. So let's do this. And then the first one came out. And I was saying, okay, all right, this is a good start, right? I was disappointed that they killed off Han in the middle of in the end of the episode. I mean, wait a minute, you have a chance to reunite the 3 main characters, 4 if you count Chewie, and you didn't do it? Instead, you killed off one of the main characters? All right. But overall, the movie was a little bit of fun. It introduced us to some new characters that they can build on. An intriguing plot line with a stormtrooper who turned against the Empire because they wanted to, they didn't, the killing, they didn't agree with it. They was hard on them. They were breaking free. They weren't one-minded. Interesting plot line that they went nowhere with after that, by the way, in any of the future Star Wars. Then they brought out the good old Last Jedi. And it completely destroyed everything from the first movie. Everything. Rian Johnson did not care about a trilogy or the Star Wars lore or anything. He just wanted to write a space movie. And he wrote a space movie that he would write. Unfortunately, it broke every rule in Star Wars, to the point where battle scenes are now obsolete. Where, I can just take my Star Destroyer, my spaceship, and crash hyperspace into another ship and completely destroy like 17 different ships. Well, I'm sure the robots nowadays can do that because, robots can do everything in Star Wars, pretty much. Well, there's the end of the battle scenes. There is no more battle scenes anymore. You just take 5 or 6 little ships and hyperspace them into the fleet, and they're all gone. He broke everything. Everything. And by the time the 3rd movie came around, they couldn't fix it. And they tried to turn back a lot of the things that people complained about. The fact that Rey never had any training. She was just good. Basically a Mary Sue. She was just good at everything automatically. And I'm okay with her being strong in the Force and things like that, but you still had to learn how to do it. Luke became the strongest person, Jedi out there. He had to learn how to do it. You have to be trained. No one is like this without training. The best basketball players in the world didn't automatically pick up a basketball and start shooting, free throws from half court. It takes practice and training, and they never showed any of that, and people didn't like that neither. Plus, the Finn character just became a whiny baby in the series, and his character led to nothing with that really possible interesting plot line of, being an ex-stormtrooper, and maybe, you know what, when you're fighting stormtroopers, you realize, hey, they might be just like me and not really wanting to do what they're doing, and having that inner turmoil in their feelings. And instead, he just starts yelling, Rey, Rey, for half a movie. His plot goes nowhere. He becomes a sideline character. They make him kind of a fool. And so, yeah, I mean, it's in trouble. Star Wars was ruined. So much so now that all the new Star Wars merchandise, which is like the major money contributor to Disney, isn't even selling. Funko Pops just announced that they have to dump millions of Funko Pops into a landfill site because it's cheaper to destroy them than to try and sell them and ship them to places because they're not selling. And that goes for Marvel and Star Wars. There is nothing selling right now. None of the new characters took off. None took off at all compared to the old characters. And the trouble with Disney was they doubled down on their new characters. They saw that $200 million opening weekend of the $200 million worldwide gross of the first Star Wars movie, Star Wars 7, and said, people are going to love this. Let's double down and make everything this storyline. So Star Wars Land, you didn't have Darth Vader walking around. You didn't have Yoda. You don't have Luke. You had Rey and just characters that no one cared about walking around. So the true fan base of Star Wars didn't care. We went initially just to see what it looks like, but now we're not. Now we're not going because we've seen it. Even though Rise of the Resistance is probably one of the most amazing rides out there, which I still haven't been on, by the way, because when I was there, they hadn't finished it yet. Good job, Disney. You open Star Wars Land without your main attraction. Great job. I guess you just wanted the money as fast as possible. Again, a bad decision, but hey, what the heck, right? Then they have all these Star Wars shows on TV. And they all are terrible. They've been terrible. Except when they launched them at the beginning, there was some hope. The Mandalorian turned out to be, oh, hey, this isn't bad. The first season of The Mandalorian was pretty fun. They had some cameos. They had some, cute spoofs on Star Wars and some inside jokes that everybody got because we knew it. And now season 3 is here and the ratings are falling. Because they've also brought out shows like Boba Fett, which was a dumpster fire. An absolute dumpster fire. They also brought out Obi-Wan. Horrible, horrible shows. I hate to say it, but horrible shows. In fact, they knew Boba Fett was going to be so bad that in the middle of Boba Fett, they brought out 2 episodes of The Mandalorian because no one cares about Boba Fett, the way they wrote him. They wrote him as a weak, pushed around, wanting to please everybody, wanting to be the good guy. He's a bounty hunter who tracks down wanted people, whether they're innocent or guilty, for crime lords. He's not a nice guy. And you have to make him a bad guy if you want to have a redemption story. You don't just have him automatically being a good guy at the beginning of your series, which they tried to do, and it did not work. It was boring. A boring, boring show. And then, hey, we topped it all off there and brought out Obi-Wan. Again, you brought back a great actor who everyone was looking forward to seeing him in the role in the movie. and you put them in a series, and again, weak. A poorly written, bad movie where, again, you always try and introduce new characters that no one cares about and make them the focal point of the story. Including points that ruin the history of Star Wars. I am so worried about Star Wars, and Disney is too, because they know they've messed up. They absolutely know they messed up. Their Star Wars hotel, not selling. They've had to cancel shows. They've had to cancel dates. It's just not working. Maybe if we could see Luke, and maybe if we could see Han, and maybe if we could see Leia, and maybe if we could see Darth Vader, maybe then, maybe people would have come. But no, you double down on the new Star Wars that nobody cares about, and us old fans, we don't care about it. We're not going to go stay there, but hey, you know what? You might have convinced me had you made the old group there. You just might have. But hey, double down on your own Disney and double down on your own failure. Good job there, executives at Disney once again. And then they announced, because Kathleen Kennedy can't keep her mouth shut, they announced multiple Star Wars movies coming out. Multiple. Remember the one with Patty Jenkins? Remember when she puts on the helmet and she turns around announcing Rogue Squadron and she's walking back towards the fighter? Oh, the X-Wing? That was actually a pretty cool trailer. Yeah, well, it's canceled. It's canceled because that's what she likes to do. She announces all these projects to try and make people excited about Star Wars. Trouble is, you've canceled more projects than you've actually made. More projects than you've actually made. And that is a sign of desperation. Kathleen Kennedy may have been good on the set. She may have been a good producer. Everyone touted her acclimates about all the different people she's worked with and the projects she's worked on and everything. That doesn't make you a good studio executive. Because you went in to make a trilogy movie about Star Wars and you didn't have a plan for the 3 movies. You hired 3 different directors and just said, make a movie. And there was no linear line. There was no, you're going to start here and we're going to finish here. And that's why when Rian Johnson came in and threw out everything and just trashed on Star Wars fans, Star Wars died. The day The Last Jedi came out, Star Wars was on its deathbed. And it pains me to say that because I would love to see a great Star Wars movie again. How hard can it be? Show the hero's journey. It doesn't have to be Luke. It doesn't have to be Darth Vader. It can be new characters. We were ready to embrace some new characters had you written them the same way the first ones were. When we first met Luke, he was a whiny little brat, farmer. And he needed to be rescued. And then he needed to be trained. And he eventually, with the help of others, became stronger and stronger and stronger as a Jedi. However, the characters you introduced were immediately this. Immediately great at everything. And that is not an arc. That's a straight line. And the most boring stories in movies are straight lines where nothing happens. And that, unfortunately, is the quintessential Star Wars movie. And now it's been 2019 since the last Star Wars movie was made. Disney said they're going to take a little bit of a break. Well, you've taken a break, all right. You've taken a 4-year break, don't even have a script, don't have anything in production, don't have a single person hired for a next movie. Which means it's going to be 7, 8, 9 years before the next Star Wars movie. And if you keep pumping out garbage shows like Boba Fett for your TV series, it's going to get worse. Not only are you not going to sell merchandise, not only are you not going to have anything on streaming worthwhile, but people are just going to stop going to your park. I really almost wish Disney would just sell Star Wars again. Sell it to somebody else, give them a try. You can write in the contract that you get to keep the Star Wars stuff that's in your parks. But hey, unless you, first of all, fire Kathleen Kennedy. She might be a great producer in that, but she's not a great studio exec. And she doesn't know what she's doing. How many directors has she fired since being in office? She's fired almost as many that have made the actual movies and shows. Over and over and over again. It just goes to show you, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you can run an empire. We've seen that many, many times. Sometimes a great baseball player doesn't necessarily make for a good general manager of a baseball team. And unfortunately, they hired the wrong person. They haven't given her any oversight or direction. And your trillion-dollar empire of Star Wars, one of the biggest IPs in the world, right now has dropped down below everything. Everything. I mean, who's excited to see anything Star Wars anymore? Even The Mandalorian, which showed hope and promise for season 1, this year the ratings have started to fall, and it seems like most things with Disney lately, no one cares.